So what is it that really matters when it comes to you being able to build a fitness business that you really want? Being able to have clients coming on board, charging what you're worth, having the freedom that you want, having the impact that you want. Now, I just got off finishing this interview that you're going to get in just a second with Darren Bruce, and this is really awesome stuff. I'm actually pretty pumped up to be sharing this with you today, because none of the stuff that we're going to be going into today is about some fancy tactics or some strategies or so much of the fluff that you see out there that's just getting regurgitated over and over. This is the deep stuff. This is about how you become the person that you need to be so you can build the business that you want, so that you can have the life that you want, so you can be happy. And this is what really matters, because what Darren and I have both found is having these steps in place, being able to have these transformations, and what you're going to be able to take away from today's episode is going to have a huge impact. And this is what really matters at the end of the day, with you being able to create the success that you really want. So I'm also going to make sure that I pop a link below for the Fitness Business Success Circle. This is the free group that you're going to be able to join, because I want to hear from you. What have you taken away from this interview? What are you going to put into place? What are you going to apply? And I want to know what questions you've got, because I'm going to be getting Darren back onto the show, because we want to be jumping on and really giving you what you need, answering your questions and mapping out the steps so you can follow through with it as well. So let's jump straight into this interview, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you after this episode. All right, it seems like Darren, a brother from another mother, we've only connected very recently, and I'm just loving everything coming. I had to tell you to shut up for a second because you're spitting gold, and I just want to record this as much as possible. So, mate, I'm pumped to have you here before we even jump into everything, because you know what? This episode, we're going to get deep. I think there's going to be some cuddling, there might be some high fives and some fist bumps, but there could be a couple of tears getting shed, but that's a good thing, because I think at the end of the day, and what's just the connection with what's going on, we're just really honest about what's going to create results for someone, and how can someone actually start applying stuff and understanding at the end of the day. So even before we start jumping into this, who is Darren and why are you so phenomenal?
Firstly, I just want to say I feel like we're about to become Will Ferrell and the other guy in...
The Dragon?
Yeah. You can call me Nighthawk, the Dragon. Step Brothers, that's it. Yeah. We've known each other for about 10 days, but we've been kicking ass together and just getting along really well. And just, it's awesome to collaborate with you, dude. Like, we're so alike, and just wanted to get better and better at marketing, become the best and master it, so we can help other people do it as well, to help more people. I love it. Dude, who am I, and what was the other question?
Why so phenomenal?
Why am I so phenomenal? I'm a guy that was hitting a golf ball with a tablespoon before he could walk. He was all about movement, sport. Mum had to put a spider on the front gate because he's climbing over it and climbing the carport roof, and thought I was I was getting out the front gate by the time I was 2 years old, running around and shit. And I played multiple sports, played rugby league for 20 years, rugby union, all this stuff. Yeah, I'm a guy who's always loved to move, be part of teams, groups of people. At the same time, I'm a guy who, going through school, really seeked approval a lot, didn't really feel like he fit in at all, just felt like he was the mingler, and didn't really feel comfortable with himself unless other people said that he was an okay dude. And a big, massive, I guess I've become such a highly self-aware person because, I would say only until recently I would now call myself a high achiever, but for so long I was thinking, what's next, like winning 100-meter sprints when I'm a kid, like at 17 years old playing open age group, top grade rugby league, doing something like moving to Brisbane to try and make it in the NRL rugby league. And when I was about to get dropped to the lower grades, I went to a training session because I just had a connection with a friend. got to a training session. There's reserve grade, right? And then there's top grade for that. And this is a feeder team for the Melbourne Storm at the time when they were having a huge dynasty. It's the same team that Billy Slater came through, Greg Inglis, all these guys. They were playing top grade. Went to training. No one knew me. They were about to throw me down into the lower divisions, into lower Brisbane. Trained the house down. Got on the bench for a game. Like last minute, they said we're gonna put you on the bench because someone's injured. Next 3 games in reserve grade, man of the match, 3 games in a row, playing, training with the guys who were flying up from Melbourne Storm, and got a gig, got a game on Suncorp Stadium as a curtain raiser and stuff, and like I would never have talked about this stuff in the past because I would have been going, oh, well, I didn't make NRL, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, like I'm not that good. But the reality is that, you know, moving forward now to what brought us here is that I joined the military because I realized that leadership and coaching is much more important to me than actually being the athlete. Became a physical training instructor as the second fastest to ever be promoted into that senior leadership position within a year and a half of being in the military, even though it's not supposed to be legal in defence to be promoted and jump 2 ranks. I did that, and the exact same date that I finished the 4-year enlistment within the military, I'd been planning back in my room for a year of how I was going to start my business, my company, how everything was going to go down. I stumbled across a friend I used to be in a gym, working in a gym with. She had a Latin dance studio, just to show her my business plan, and she said I could start the business there. So I had a 9-week body transformation starting in a Latin dance studio. On the other side of the curtain, there's freaking people dancing through Latin, like, you know, samba and all shit. Yeah, absolutely. The music was going when I did the first intro workshop before, like, to sign people up to the transformation. Started with 22 people at an average of 100, just over 100K a year on the very first day the business started when I finished my 4-year enlistment in the military. So that was the birth of the business. And then within 2.5 years, like, I hired a team. I was working 8-hour weeks. We were anywhere from 3 to 5K. We're helping a lot of people, you know, 6 people off antidepressants, anywhere from 5 to 60 kilos lost. Awesome community, awesome culture, raving fans. Moved north to just under the Gold Coast to look at opening a second gym, and at the same time I had so many mentors, some of the best marketers, entrepreneurs in the world. My mentor, Con Mirza, who's in Dubai, he's taken like 70 people to their first million, all this stuff. And I just realized that I was obsessed with business over health and fitness. Like, I was a great coach and everything, but I started naturally helping people come to me for help, helping them in their gyms, the same thing that I'd done, from all the things that I knew, because I just always been obsessed about the behavior of people, and that ties in so well with marketing, sales, and everything. And you know, realizing that sales is just like, everyone does sales every day. Like, if I'm trying to get you to eat this fucking apple that I'm holding,
sell it.
That's sales. Yeah. Like marketing and everything, and realizing that people need to be like influenced and communicated in a way if you have something that's going to be life changing for them, and that's, you know, it's justifiable. I think Jocko Willink, amazing guy that I really respect, a Navy SEAL dude, he talks about leadership. He goes, it's not influence, it's always manipulation, but it's positive manipulation. Like, doing it because if you have the right intentions, then you're doing it. That's marketing. So anyway, that's brought us here. I've just been obsessed with business for the last 2 or 3 years. I help personal trainers, yoga teachers, wellness practitioners, you know, if they've got a facility, help them grow that business, get more clients, convert them, have a really great, awesome client experience with high value without having to learn all the sales and marketing stuff and spend hours doing that stuff. It really just fast tracks everything for them, and all the Facebook marketing stuff, I generated like 500 leads for my gym, and close to under 1,000 leads for myself and other people. So knowing all that Facebook stuff as well. So that's basically what I do. What makes me phenomenal? Well, just my insatiable, I would just call it a habit, the habit that I've developed in that nothing feels like work for me. Like us talking now, me on the computer before, doing marketing, sales, talking to someone, whatever. Like, my only real goal is how am I providing more value every single day, whether it's through business, whether it's through charity, saying a nice word to someone. Like, I just believe that everything comes back to the person who provides the most value wins. And like, it's a tough road to get here. Heaps of shit has gone down, but I wouldn't change a thing, man. And
No, I love that. I applaud on everything that you've just gone through there, and especially just like starting to break down what you've just covered. Like the tough stuff, we've all gone through some really shit periods. Like there's some stuff that we've all gone, you know what, that was effed up. Like that was hard, but you know what? We need to go through that, and you embrace it. And you come out the other end, you come better, and it's all good. Like it's part and parcel of it. And the people that want to have a bit of a whinge and a pity party about it, well, unfortunately, they're just not grasping that the only way we really learn is through mistakes, and sometimes we've got to go through the hard yakka to come out the other end better. And especially with, there's so many good things you just brought up. Like, let's say, for instance, with the military, because I'd be really interested, because now there's a few guys that are ex-military. Like, one example is Aaron. So say like Aaron, we were talking about the page. So this is the guy that's gone from 300 a month to 20 grand a month, and he's just cruising for a bruising at the moment, just killing it, doing an awesome job. And my very first fitness job ever was working at HMAS Penguin, running the gym and stuff like that in Sydney. So being surrounded in that kind of like military aspect, seeing how they went through, and seeing the PTIs train and all the other dudes being able to go through their days, and how committed some of them were to the training, but how what I loved about it was their mindset on being able to get a job done so well, and being able to have that, and you kind of alluded to it, was that habitual day by day, just get through it and have that compounding effect getting there as well. If you kind of had to take away what shaped you, because you said at the start, it was kind of like your story, as in the story that you tell yourself, has evolved into the man that you are right now. And that's why you do what you do, because you act behind that story. How did you actually become this dude right now? Like, what's evolved into you becoming and telling it from a dude that's like, you know what, I was good at sport, but I'd never really think about it, or I was always jumping from one thing to the next, to now you embracing it and doing even better. Why do you think that's been?
How have I come to be this way? I think definitely modeling the people who have done it before, reading, listening to all these sorts of people. Two things jumped up for me that are really military related, and other stuff that I've read related. The first one is that affirmation without discipline is an illusion. I think like a really strong theme for me recently and moving forward is that every single fucking thing has to have discipline, down to whether like I choose to sit on the couch once the washing finished for another 10 minutes, or do I get up and do it? Like, it's all the fucking little things that nobody does. It is when people say like how you do one thing is how you do everything. Like that is gospel. And I never thought that before. And I have been the person who, was never a morning person when I was growing up. And my dad was habitually the last person in the car. Like, we're waiting 20 minutes for him when we're going somewhere. And I think I really had that habit. And it's like, part of going to the military was pulling that out of me. Some of the things that we had to do, like to have a giant machine gun completely clean to the point where like there's not one little speck of anything on it after you've just shot thousands of rounds through it an hour before. Just like all these little discipline, attention to detail things. But like, and the thing on that as well is going through all that shit and then coming out into business without having people around you. Oh, this is so funny. I just heard this, and this is from both our good friend Taki. There's three types of accountability. There's self-accountability, like one-on-one accountability, like coaching accountability, and there's group accountability. And what happens with self-accountability is we don't have the ability to achieve 100% self-accountability all the time. It's why we get coaches. Like, so I think that's what happened to me in the business. And then I got my first coach, and they helped me, taught me, aside from having someone to hold accountable to, was pretty good learning Facebook ads and getting 84 leads in a day, shit like that. But then, the group as well, because the coaching accountability, then you can potentially have this codependent relationship where someone once again is going to squeeze around that accountability and like not take full ownership for what they need to be doing. So the group is, something that really just creates momentum and drives people forward. And I think even having all that military discipline stuff, without being in a group that was driven, and I'm sure you can agree with this. Like we've both got programs in place where groups are highly performing high achievers, as people in the fitness industry, business owners. We're driving them to do more and be more and show them how to do that and implement, to grow the business, whatever. It's so important, it's so vital, but obviously there's a lot of fear around there, out of it for people, or not wanting to say, oh, I do need help with the hand up, stuff like that. If there's an ego person, especially in our industry, then they're not going to say I need help, and they're just going to fucking be struggling and keep quiet about it, blah blah blah. Anyway, back to my point is that it's just discipline. It's like every single thing. It's working on it every single day, and that's what's developed. Where I'm rarely ever unhappy. I'm constantly working on, if something negative comes in as a thought, it will never come out of my mouth because I'm too busy working on it and removing it immediately, eliminating it, or working on like it never even becoming a thought because I'm in so much positive emotional state that I'm just driving forward and I'm focusing on other people, because I believe that all the negative shit comes from focusing internally on what's in it for you. So just turning that around. And the second thing is standards. Like Tony Robbins just did this, posted this image. He never posts stuff anymore really much on his Facebook. He did this fucking cool image and said that the moment you raise your standards, your life changes and stuff. And there's this quote that I always come back to so many times when I've talked about like client experience for people within their business, or what's happened with that, to the delivery of the experience, and my own stuff, or with leadership stuff, when I had employees. It's the standard you walk past is the standard you set. And that I really saw that correlation with how Tony Robbins was talking about standards, because I think most people think that standards are when you're setting that for clients or whatever, it's not just they think, oh, this is what you need to do. You also got to say, this is exactly where the fucking line is. This is what not to do, not what not to do, but what you can't do.
Yep.
Like that's and I think that's like a self-respect, self-value thing as well. So especially like the reason that I can help business owners so much is because my identity was completely attached to my business, and I detached last year, and like it's why so many people are failing business. That's I think that is pretty much the main thing, that people are attaching like all their thoughts, emotions, actions to the business on how much they charge, like whether people want to become part of the business, client signing on or whatever, or how they're perceived when they jump on doing content or video or whatever. I had a guy say to me today after I did a video, he's like, oh, I need to get better at that stuff because I'm not quite confident. I'm like, dude, I wasn't confident, just do it. Like, does that make sense?
No, it makes great sense, because I think Peter Sage has put it a good way, because I've listened to a lot of this stuff recently, and he said it's like your self-worth is not your net worth. And so many people are attaching themselves to, well, like, how much money am I making and how much am I charging and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you do need to detach yourself. And you also brought something up brilliantly before that I wanted to bring up. That was value matters at the end of the day. How much value are you honestly bringing to the world? And it was really cool because you brought up Taki. And this is something actually pretty profound. It's something I think I've been thinking about a lot recently. Taki was here in Bali, and we went up and had lunch with him and his fam when they were up in Ubud. And we just got chatting. And he was like, look, tell you the truth, Chris, like, if money was no problem at all, what would you do? And it was a question I'd never asked myself, or no one else has ever asked me. And it was like, and for me, it was hilarious because I'm always the person that's saying, like, the quality of your answers are always to the quality of your questions. Like, you've got to ask better questions. And straight out of my mouth, I just verbal diarrhea. I want to learn and share. That's it. I want to go through it. I want to learn it, and I want to share it. And now I think, like, what we're doing right here, how cool is this? Like, to think I'm not having to be in the gym 24/7 right now, and I can sit right here in my office. We get to chew the fat on some really cool things, is work. Like, that is really awesome because we're trying to just constantly deliver value. And we know if we deliver value right now, and this is where I want the coaches, all the health professionals right now, this is how you implement it, is how do you deliver value and just bring the good back in? And that's where it is. People are going to vibe with you, and some people aren't going to vibe with you, and that's perfectly fine at the end of the day. But we also kind of, something you brought up, and this is kind of where I wanted to take this, is why do you think people aren't achieving at the end of the day? What's really stopping them? What are the things that you can put your finger on? Because you brought up Jocko, and what I loved about Jocko, especially after reading his book, was you've got to take responsibility. And everyone that has been able to step up and achieve more, they've taken responsibility for themselves, and they've said, if I'm going to get the results, I've got to pull my finger out and do it. And it's just like the discipline you said before. It's, do I sit on the couch for the next 10 minutes and twiddle my thumbs, or do I get up and do something that's going to take a step forward? So what is it? Why do you think people are just struggling, not getting there, and why is this not happening?
So it is fear, and it's like it's not. I think the people who are successful, they learn tools and strategies, and they have the beliefs that are aligned with overcoming fear. Like it never goes away, but yeah, like when they have tools and strategies, and also they choose the beliefs that align with that, and that comes from modeling the people that you want to be like. So we're always going to mention Tony Robbins when it comes to someone who's successful. He's like one of the most successful people in the world. He's changed so many businesses and lives and blah blah blah, all that stuff. Like, you want to model him. Like, how does he handle it? Find out how he manages fear. Like, there's a bunch of videos, stuff like that. It comes down to fear, and it also comes down to completely like internalizing what's in it for me. So as long as someone's in that mindset and that perception of what am I going to get out of it, it affects the copy. Let's say if you're doing Facebook ads, it affects the image that you do, that you create, affects the way that you write copy, whether you're doing ads, whether you're writing anything on social media, it affects the way that you talk to people. And we know the body language is the most the highest percentage of how people take communication. Verbal is much lower. So you're talking to someone, and you're acting. The desperate vibe is coming across from your body language, because all you're caring about is like, how can I survive in my business because I don't have enough clients. I need money. I need to be able to pay rent, all that sort of stuff. And that's tough to get past that sort of stuff. And this is why you need coaches. Like, you need to, if you can't afford a coach or whatever, you need to read stuff about it. You need to look into it. And I think that's one thing. And that's why I believe that I had such a head start. Like, before I even started the business, I was listening to hours and hours of human behavioral experts, people who've been in business, and people like Tony Zai, who created the first online shoe company. He took it to hundreds of millions. Like, reading something like someone who's been through that entire journey of creating an amazing company and finding a new gap in the market, like, success leaves clues, as they always say. So you want to model off these people, you want to find these people, and they're sitting in books, and they're sitting in iTunes on podcasts and audio books, and you want to start listening to them all the fucking time. And if you are having trouble reading that, you think it's a waste of time, then you're not consciously aware of how important that is. Maybe you shouldn't be in business. The other thing with fear, I think, there's a really powerful tool that I've learned recently. There's this thing that psychologists call like a vacuum experience, right? So if you're feeling like you're procrastinating, you're feeling, I believe there's only two emotions, right? One's negative, one's positive. Like, if you want to think about the yin yang stuff or whatever, or we break down into subatomic particles, then there's proton, neutron, 50% positive and negative, all experience. That's what I believe. So if you feel negative in any way, sad, angry, whatever, as well as procrastinating, which is usually a negative feeling happening after that, stand up, yell stop straight away. And that vacuum that they call in psychology is what happens. And there's a moment there, a gap between how you were just feeling and how you're about to feel. And what happens in that moment is, if you don't change, you have an opportunity to change the pattern of your behavior. So what I learned was that in that moment, if you can attach your physiology to a memory where you feel amazingly positive, unstoppable, and then you just clench your fists and you say yes, then you're building a new pattern, and that's been huge for me. I gave it to a client a few weeks ago, a guy who's going through a divorce, not being able to see his two sons he dearly loves at the moment, and struggling within his business. So we got him some leads, and he's just, he wasn't responding to me a lot of the time. He just felt so shitty. This was the thing that, like, I gave him a pep talk, but also gave him this, and within 5 hours, it had gone from, I can't do these sales calls, I suck at this, to 5 hours later, he's like, I'm fine with this, I'm fucking going to kick ass. And his attitude's completely changed. Yeah. So it's a really powerful thing. And I think, like, most people don't know, and I didn't know for a long time, that you have, like, one tool can be so life-changing. Like, something that controls your emotional state is massive. Like, it's what, when people say they don't have time, it's not that you don't have time. Like, you haven't learned how to manage your time because you spend like 3 hours procrastinating because you're afraid of doing the thing you actually need to do that's going to grow the business and that's going to grow you as a person, because it's uncomfortable, because you're too busy thinking about the fear. And in the, we spoke about the persuasion book, that study that Cialdini showed about how they had if people were watching a horror story or something that was really sad, and then the advertising that came on after that was about standing out of the crowd, wouldn't get a good response, because when you feel negative, when you feel fearful, you want to fit in with the crowd. And that's why we have 99% of the world who just want to go along the sheep herd, because we're all acting through fear, because the society conditions us to act through fear. But the people who break out of it and always come from a place of, how can I contribute to the world, to my business, or as a person, whatever, come from a good place. And when you're thinking like that, this reminds me of, my favorite quote, basically, what is our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we are powerful beyond measure. And that's about, that's about shining and sharing your gifts and the unique person that you are. And when we talk about marketing, like, I did this presentation last year called the Authentic Client Magnet Model. And it was basically all it came back to is about, like, being yourself, sharing your entire gift, sharing who you are, whilst, throwing in these psychological influential things and the way that you do attract and convert clients, and have that nice balance of things. So when we come from a good place, we're happy to stand out, because we're too busy thinking about, wow, I'm going to help people, I'm going to change their lives, I'm going to make an actual difference, then we don't give a shit about the fear. And that's, there's that, and then there's the momentum. Like, I truly just feel like things snowball more and more the more you focus on that, and then you've got those tools that change, like, keep your state going all the time, and then you develop the habit that is just like, nothing feels like work, because you're just committed to mastery in every single area and every single thing you do, which I'm so grateful that, like, I'm there now. Like, all of a sudden I don't know when it happened, but I just woke up and I'm like, it actually doesn't matter what the fuck I do today, I enjoy it, because every single thing I can learn things. There's even, like, changed the way that I communicate with people. Like, I try to shut the fuck up and I try to listen and talk, which is right now. But I'm super excited to learn more about you, Chris, because we get along so well already, and we haven't spoken too much verbally. But and just contributing, man, momentum. That's it.
It's good. There's so many, like, my head's buzzing at the moment. There's so many things we can dive into. Really good points on state change, because I think that's a really profound thing. Because if you're like, how can you ever write good sales copy? How can you shoot a good video? How can you have a good interaction with someone? How can you provide more value if you're feeling shitty about yourself? And having a tool to be able to have a state change immediately picks you up, because yes, we all have been in that point of the victim mentality. Do you know what I mean? And wanting that be that, oh, everything happens to me, I can't do it because of all these reasons, that sort of stuff. But when you're able to quickly get out of that state, and obviously it's a brilliant point that you make up, because I've been thinking about this, you really get it on a snowball effect. It's compounding each and every day, and it just gets better and better and better. And that's the thing, at the start, it's going to be tough. And that's why I do believe in coaching, or having at least some sort of accountability, a point of being able to get yourself to be able to change these things. The other thing as well with persuasion, was something I've been really thinking about. We can start diving into this a bit, scratching the surface of it. Was the story about how they had a study where a attractive 19-year-old girl would go up to a guy and say, hey, the group of 4 guys just across the road, they stole my wallet, can you go get it? Now, obviously, for a dude to say, okay, I'm going to go across the road and confront 4 other guys, that's a shitty situation, and there was a very low take-up rate. Now, what they changed was they're being able to then have another girl go up to the guy, and she did one of 2 things. One was they said, do you know where the directions to Valentine Street is? And if a guy got asked that question, there was like a double response rate of then the guy wanting to then go to the group of guys and being able to confront them. Or she asked him, do you know where the directions to like Main Street is? And then it went straight back to the norm. So it was crazy how if someone got asked a question that kind of set them into the state of them going into something else, there was a dramatic difference in response. And this was just like the psychology of why do we do the things that we do each and every day is so profound. Because I've been thinking, how do we set this up right? Not just for a sale, like for a person to sign on a personal training client or another yoga client or anything like that. Yes, we can apply it to that. But what if you were able to actually set this up so they got better results, so they were able to follow through with the plan and were able to obviously then be able to use what your coaching is eventually giving them at the end of the day as well. This is just crazy stuff. And I know this is getting deep, but I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
Oh, dude, I'm so grateful to know and see the growth of a friend who's an amazing strength coach and coach in general. His name is Mitch Pike. He's fantastic. Like he deadlifted 310 kilos without a belt, squatted 220 or 40 with a belt, like all this stuff. But on top of that, he's taken a guy in 2 months to a 50 kilo add-on to his deadlift, and like there's undeniable the stuff that he's done with mindset, and that's exactly the stuff we're talking about. He knows how to do that, and we're just in the process of hopefully doing a collective workshop of himself, Alan Romero, and myself, because Mitch is just amazing at the mindset stuff. Like he had a woman break down in tears for a workshop that he did, like barbell masterclass and coaching. She broke down in tears because he allowed her to break through the state that was constantly just controlling her literally for years, like since she was younger. She's like, that was fucking amazing. And so Mitch for the mindset, Al Romero for the strength of performance. He's worked with Brumbies and been Westside Barbell, all these places, and me to help out with the business and marketing stuff that you and I are always learning. So that's the insight that I've got from being fortunate to see what Mitch has done, and it's so powerful and so little people know about it. There's 2 things that I wanted to mention. The one thing was to talk about the model of codependence and independence that a friend passed on to me as well, because you were talking about the victim mentality and everything, and the model of codependence is when if you imagine a triangle and you've got the victim is on one of the 3 sides of the triangle, the victim is on one side, the rescuer is on another side, and the persecutor is on another. Mm-hmm. So this is a codependent relationship that can continue to happen, and I've been there. Like I've been there with clients where either like they were playing the victim, and then I was rescuing them with certain behavior, and then someone else is or maybe I'm the one persecuting them because he didn't stick to this diet or whatever, or even, well, definitely with some, like a guy that I ended up firing because he just wasn't, he had so much knowledge when it came to physical training, exercise physiologist, massage therapy, all this advanced like ART shit, whatever, but he wouldn't do anything when it came to the business action. So got rid of him, but I was the rescuer at different times. So anyway, my point is that if you're listening to this and you can relate to that at all, then as long as that behavior is happening, then you're affecting the results of your clients, and you're also affecting like your energy, your state, and all that sort of stuff. It's affecting the growth of your business. So it's like that codependence triangle is below the line, and above the line is independence. It's where you realize that you're not working for people, you're working with them. There's no victims, rescuers, or persecutors. This is the thing I was going to say before. I truly believe, this is such a powerful thing that I believe. The meaning of life is meaningless until we give it meaning. And so knowing that, and then making a conscious choice of every single thing that goes on, whether it's with a client and you say, oh, they're acting like an asshole because they're not doing what I told them to, that's not about them, that's about you, and you're giving it that meaning. So when, and what meaning do you want to give it so it has a positive outcome? Like, the meaning of that is, what can I learn in order to get this person results? Because I need to take full ownership that this is me. And if you can continue to take full ownership and give things meaning, that give you a positive outcome, because obviously, like, we talked about the business stuff before, where when we go through the mistakes and not everything is great. Like, I built my first gym up, right? I said to my coach, trained her for a year, but before I hired her, I said, what's your vision? She goes, I want to own a gym by the beach. I said, great, that's the vision we're working towards. The next 2 years, that's what we did. She took over everything. I was working 8 hours a week. We're doing great. We were profiting. She was happy. I move away to open a second gym by the beach, which she's going to run, and then we're going to train up the next person and scale a great company. She calls me and goes, I want to quit. So to go down there, and I had to decide, what the fuck am I going to do? My fiance was in tears. We're getting married in 3 weeks. She just started her first business, so I was helping her grow that as well. I had to leave indefinitely. Didn't know if I was coming back because I had to take everything over. And then I had to decide whether I'm going to rehire someone to continue to scale, or if I'm going to run this whole thing myself, or what's going to happen. And like, I broke down in tears, had a horrible experience with the employee, didn't act well, broke down in tears in my brother's arms, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me because of the meaning that I gave it afterwards, you know. It was such a shitty time for me, but the lessons that I learned were invaluable. Like I said before, I was no longer attached to how many clients I had or how much money the business was making or anything. I was completely detached from everything and just focused on contribution. Was so much more clearer on where I needed to go. But I mean, my point about that is that it's all the meaning. Like, we can get stuck so hard on being so certain about things and how they need to turn out, and whether it's a client that needs to say yes, or whether it's a direction the business needs to go, or how your marketing goes, or how anything goes in your life, or the relationship, or whatever. But I think that, like, certainty can destroy people's lives if they continue to hold on to it. And once again, my good friend Mitch said this amazing thing to me that I'll never forget. And he sent me this text and said, because we were talking about this thing about being uncertain and being okay with not where you're going with your life. The statement was, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. It's fucking amazing. Like,
yes.
And, you know, I was the person for so long. Like, my dad is the person who would sit you at a dinner table and go, why don't you do this job? It earns great money. And then I say, I want to do this. I love doing this. No, and every night, every fucking night. So me going, oh shit, I need to be so certain of what's going to happen because it's been pushed onto me all the time, was destroying me. And, you know, I finally let it go, and then starting a business again, it can happen again because you're so keen about how things are going to turn out. So you just continually need to check up on that and just let things go. Like, it's going to unlock so much potential for you and move you forward.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Those are some wise words, because, like, it's a good point, because especially like the book I'm looking at right now, Man's Search for Meaning, it's the meaning you give to it. You can be in the worst possible situation ever that a human being can be in, and you have the power to decide, what do you focus on? Do you know what I mean? What are you going to walk away from this? And look, it's not like in the moment, it's hard. Like, don't get me wrong, but how quickly can you pull yourself out of it? And I've always found the last couple of times I've gone through some real shit and been in some bad places, it's when that question's finally come into my head, how can this be good for me? How can I pull away something that's going to be good? What does this actually mean? And once you start asking the right questions, you focus yourself on it, and it can make a profound impact. And I really appreciate you sharing that story, because I know so many people are going to be tuning in right now and they're going to be like, they're in a shitty situation right now, or they're just not too sure on what to do. And don't you love something else? I don't want a million tangents right now, screw it.
Yeah.
We're talking about essentially, how do you grow a better business? How do you actually achieve more, help more? And we're talking about this stuff. We're not talking about Facebook ads right now. We're not talking about those strategies or tactics. We're talking about, how do you become a better human being? How do you become a better version of you? Because that is going to affect what you do with everything else. Because we can give you the strategies and tactics. That's no dramas. But if we change you on a deeper level in the story you're telling yourself, that means you're going to be able to apply everything so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I just think of that. I think like, so Bill Gates is he's almost the richest person in the world, if not the richest person in the world. He created the most financially expensive and altruistically impactful charity that completely eradicated a disease in the Western world. Like, that's a good fucking dude, right? Yeah. So you become a better person and you run a better business, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're essentially talking about. And it's so true. And if people want to deny that, like, where do you think everything comes from every business? It comes from the individual who started it. Like, if you're a fan of Gary Vee right now, then he's even said it as well. Like, it's those little tiny nuances that go all the way back to 50 Cent, who started one little business, or Dr. Dre, not Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, and how, he ran things with Beyonce or something. Like, he talks about how it's just that one little thing that is what is how people see the brand and how it's grown and how it's more.
But even with Dr. Dre, he started Beats, and look how Beats has exploded and is such a massive phenomenon.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's profound stuff. Okay, we're going to wrap this bad boy up, because I want to get you back on. I want to keep delving into this stuff. I want to pull everything back. What I think would be really cool is, I want everyone listening right now, get in touch with us. I want you to comment. What have you been able to take away, and what questions do you have that you want us to be able to tackle? I'm going to kick, scream, and get Darren back onto the show and make sure that we can start delving into more, because there is so much that we can delve into, but I really want to make sure we're giving everyone what they need. And Ombre, we're going to be talking a shit ton more, so I'm looking forward to it. But just before I do let you go, how can everyone find out more about you and get in touch with what you're doing?
Firstly, sorry, bro. I was trying to bring your screen back up and click the button. That's why I wasn't looking at you. Secondly, thank you so much for having me on, man, dude. I'm so grateful that, like, choosing me to be on your show. Like, it's awesome. They can get in touch with me by going to darrenbruce.com.au, DARRENBRUCE. My Instagram is Darren J Bruce, or Facebook, just add me on Darren Bruce. There's a fair bit of stuff on the website to help out with a lot of different strategies in regards to business. I just wanted to add one more thing based off what we're talking about. Like, if someone's really in that place of fear or stress or whatever, and they want to get out of it, is a thing that Navy SEALs do, which is tactical breathing. And they just this is from some of the stuff that tactical breathing.
Okay, yeah.
It's just a complete inhale, but take 4 seconds to take the complete inhale, hold it for 4 seconds, and then release it for 4 seconds. So you'll de-stimulate your brain if you're, like, stressed or anxious about the business or in a real bad place, and your intelligence will go back up. We know that your intelligence goes down when you're stressed. So they do that. I mean, that's basically what they do when if they start getting rockets launched at them, they have to make split decisions or people aren't going to die. You go straight into the breathing. Jocko talks about it. So I thought that would be valuable. People are not in the place their business wants to be and maybe not feeling too good. And it really helped me. Yeah, man, that's where they can find me. I already said all that stuff. Super excited for our chat and chatting more. It's just, we're very similar.
I love it. And I'll give you a +1. What I've learned before, it was called box breathing, and I think I read it from a Navy SEAL. Maybe it was Mark Devine that I got it from. And it was 5 seconds in, 2 seconds hold, 8 seconds out. Anyway, it was 15 seconds. Anyway, I've gotten into the habit now. Whenever I sit down to work, I do 4 of those breaths. So it's just 1 minute, 4 of those breaths, and it just brings your nervous system straight back down, and you're just so much more switched on. So thumbs up for that one, because you nailed it, because I'm onto it, and everyone should start doing that. That is, it makes a huge difference, actually. Done. All right, beautiful. Now, I want everyone to go have a phenomenal day. Go check out Darren. He's doing great work, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Now it's time for you to get the most out of this, and this is where I can jump in and give the answers that you need. So ask your questions in the comments below so I can personally come through and answer them for you. Plus, the best discussions happen on chrisdufay.com, so click on over to get everything that I've got there for you. And did you like this episode? Because if so, click subscribe so I can send you all the episodes to come for free straight to you. And for everything that I can't fit in these episodes, plus the free guides and coaching episodes, then click on over to chrisdufay.com now. Looking forward to seeing you soon and in the success community.